At least one person has been killed and 100 others displaced by floods that have wreaked havoc in some parts of Gauteng in South Africa. Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and Gauteng Human Settlements Lebohang Male have visited areas affected by the floods in the province. Approximately 500 people have been displaced and are accommodated in various community halls and churches around Mamelodi. Government has also had to use a helicopter to rescue around 70 people from the Centurion Lake Hotel, where one person was swept away. Our South African correspondent, Katleho Lehodi, reports.
The Cooperative Governance Minister, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, and her entourage arrived to distraught residents that have been left frustrated by the floods. They visited 4 areas in Mamelodi near Pretoria that have been heavily affected to interact with people that have since found refuge at community halls and churches. Speaking to the media, the government officials say they have a plan.
But there are plans about decreasing the number of people who live in shacks. In fact, before 2016, I think Tshwane had done relatively well to reduce the number of informal settlements. But now they've almost doubled again, tripled from 2016. Now we have lots of new ones. So it's an ongoing process to try and get people to safer housing.
If you look at what has been happening in Johannesburg and in Tshwane, it points to anarchy and chaos. In Ekurhuleni, since 2016, we have only had, I think, an emergence of 4 new informal settlements. But in Tshwane and Johannesburg, the number has skyrocketed. And if we are able to deal with that, we think we should be able to firstly deal with the law and order. That's why the province has got a provincial land invasion strategy. Because if you can't deal with the lawlessness, you will not be able to nip the problem in the bud, and it will continue for a very long time.
A woman is still missing from the floods, another one electrocuted, while government warns residents against returning to their homes as it's still dangerous at this time. But these residents lost everything in the floods and they say they're in desperate need of proper houses.
I want the government, I'm plead to the government, please government, give us permanent stands. Not even RDP houses, just as a plain stand so that we can make plans or end means.
To sleep here, it was a short-term solution for a few days or for a week. A minister to come here, we have a hope, a high hope, because he's in a high position in the national ministry. She will give us a permanent solution where to go from now.
The 3 spheres of government's disaster management teams continue with efforts on the ground to help evacuate those still remaining in identified hotspots. They're hopeful that their efforts will go a long way to save lives and avert further disasters emanating from the persistent rainfalls. From Mamelodi, Pretoria, South Africa, Katleho Lehodi, Channels Television News.
Well, Katleho joins us now. He's just back from Mamelodi. Must be a difficult time for the victims of this flooding. How have they been coping?
A very good afternoon to you. A long day indeed in Mamelodi, Pretoria, where a lot of officials actually touched down to the ground today to interact with some of those victims that have been displaced by this rainfalls or floods. And like you rightly stated there, at least 500 people have been scattered around different areas within Mamelodi, this being community centers and community halls, to seek refuge there as they hope that the rains would actually get to stop so that they can pick up their pieces from after this they can pick up the pieces from having lost a lot of their belongings in this rainfalls. Well, today government coming through to make ample promises, saying that they have a plan to actually address some of these concerns that were raised by some of these people that were affected by these rains. Most of them are feeling very, very desperate and are calling on government to provide them with adequate housing, saying that for them to actually move and actually start structures along dangerous areas within the city is because they're in desperate need of houses, and a whole lot of them, still in disbelief after now having to deal with the reality of having to pick up their pieces from losing almost everything in the floods.
Yeah, South Africa is being affected by the unusually severe weather. As with other African nations, how is the weather service bracing up for this?
Well, climate change has been a major issue countrywide and even beyond the borders of South Africa. We know that South Africa is playing a key role at the COP25 conference, that is the climate change conference that is taking place in Spain. And there have been a whole lot of concerns and interventions with many hopeful that delegates that are attending the COP25 conference, a climate change conference, would come up with innovative, solutions that will see an end to these fears or the challenges that are provided by this flooding. But here at home, emergency officials remain on high alert. Even the South African Weather Service coming out every day to roll out warnings to people to avoid low-lying areas. And some of them saying that even if you're seeing that there is at least a pool of water where you're driving, you should at least try to slow down or avoid that area altogether. Because yesterday, specifically at the Centurion Lake Hotel, we saw cars being swept around, by this floods. But then, the South African Weather Service officials are coming out to issue warnings of floods, issue warnings of any thunderstorms that may be predicted in the coming days. But the message has been for everyone to just keep safe and to keep a safe driving distance, even when you are on the road. As like delegates that are in Spain attending the COP25 climate change conference, work around solutions to deal with a lot of challenges that are presented by the fact that there's climate change. Here at home, everyone should just also play their part in avoiding to dump in areas that are not, actually are not places of dumping, and also for people to actually keep on adhering to watches that are put out by the South African Weather Service, and for everyone to play their part. I mean, if I must just say, even President Cyril Ramaphosa has had to cut down his working visit trip to Germany to come home and come deal with what is happening here on the ground. And of course, we're seeing that Eskom has been in the news as well as one of the factors that have exacerbated, situations with rolling blackouts. Yesterday, we saw it climbing to stage 6, and that left everyone shocked on the ground. But then, at this point in time, it's everyone that the message that is out there is that everyone should play their part in avoiding situations that may lead to flooding.
Yes, we do pray for safety for everyone affected by this. Katleho Lehodi, thank you so much for joining us.